Well, welcome back to the West Ham Voice. We've just seen the game between Rangers and West Ham United finishing a 0-0 draw. And we've got to be honest with you, there's probably yet again more questions to answer than there are more questions than there are answers for this West Ham United squad. Um, it was not a great game, not a great spectacle for either fan base. Credit to all the West Ham fans who travelled all the way to Scotland to watch this game. But unfortunately, they're going to probably come away with a little bit disappointed that there wasn't much more to cheer about. And I'm trying to pick the bones out of this game and trying to put the positives on it. But there aren't that many, are there, to be honest with you? Look, best player for West Ham United, quite possibly, was Kyle Walker-Peters. That's about as much as I can say. But the lineup, let's have a go through the lineup. A familiar look in this preseason: Mads Hermansen in goal, Kyle Walker-Peters, Kilman partnering Mavropanos in the centre of defence with Ollie Scarles on the left, and then Bowen, Kante, James Ward-Prowse and Le Madrid in the middle, with Pablo supporting Tati Castellanos up front. Then on the bench, there was a whole plethora of young players with Finlay Herrick, goalkeeper, alongside Areola. And then Gollum Beckes, Ezra Myers, Caelan Casey, defenders on the bench, and Freddie Potts, Lewis Orford and George Earthy, as well as Maxwell Cornet in midfield. And then our attacking players, Callum Marshall and Josh Ajala. Now, almost all of those players got a run out. The goalkeepers didn't, but all the other players on the bench did get a run out. Now, players missing: Aaron Wan-Bissaka is back in training, but he wasn't ready or wasn't selected for this particular game. We know Scholes. We know Souček is injured, will be out for a couple of months yet, and Todibo not in favour. No sign of Fulkrug. Diouf is not yet back from his World Cup duty. And missing in action still is Magassa. And it must mean that his injury must be probably a lot worse than we anticipated. Look, of these players, I've got to be, I've got to say hats off to Mads Hermansen, who pulled off a couple of really, really decent saves. Our defenders didn't really have a lot to deal with, but what they had to deal with, they did well. As I said, I think Kyle Walker-Peters, certainly in the first half, was our better player. And then up front, or midfield and up front, there wasn't really a lot to shout about, to be quite honest with you. I can't really pick any player out. In the second half, Tati Castellanos did put himself about, to try and be more effective. Look, the game started sluggish. In all honesty, it was kind of a slow first half. But as the game wore on, and Rangers had the sort of were controlling the tempo. But as the game wore on in the first half, I guess we matched Rangers for pace in the game. Rangers are way ahead of us in pre-season training. Their season kicks off next weekend, and they've had a number of games already. So I kind of expected them to sort of go at us far more than they did. But what they went at us with, we were okay. We sort of matched them. No great shakes, but we did as well as we could to hold them at bay. The tackles in the first half were flying in. There were several little scuffles, several little nasty niggly tackles that were catching us out. But again, we kind of held our own. Late in the first half, the most exciting thing that happened I think it was the first half. The most exciting thing that happened was that Tati got riled with their number 10. I can't remember who their number 10 was now, but he sort of wound Tati up. But that was about the highlight of the first half. A little niggly Tati pushed the number 10 down, or pushed him. I don't know what was said. It was an off the ball situation, so I don't know how it materialized. But look, that was the first half. We had a chance or two. They had a couple of chances. Mads Hermansen pulled off a couple of decent saves, and that is about as much as you can say for the first half. In the second half, kind of more of the same, to be quite honest with you. Let me go back to the first half. It was interesting to try and find out who was playing where. Because it looked as if James Ward-Prowse was the furthest on the left, and that didn't really help Ollie Scholes. So what the play was Kilman and Dinos were trying to play the ball diagonally to the wings. So Kilman to the right, Mavropanos to the left. It just balls weren't getting to the players that we needed to get them to. And every time we got the ball to Scholes, he kind of looked a little bit isolated, couldn't do much with it. So that tactic wasn't really working well. And our midfield kept losing a lot of battles in midfield. I expected more from Kante and Le Madrid. They were both guilty of losing the ball far too easily. But of the two, Kante was the more disappointing, to be quite honest with you. I found Kante to be just a little bit lightweight, and I also found Le Madrid to be a little bit lightweight. But in fairness to Madrid, at least he was trying to do something with the ball when he was getting it. But, it wasn't happening. It wasn't working. These players, the championship is going to be brutal. And these players need to be able to sort of like really challenge championship players. They're going to be in battles in the championship. And I didn't see enough of Le Madrid and Kante to suggest at this moment in time that they're up for that challenge. Both a little bit too lightweight. But at least, like I said, Le Madrid was trying to make things happen, but just not enough, really. But in the second half, we were a bit livelier, to be quite honest with you. No changes at halftime. But we were beginning to find players with our passes, whereas in the first half we were scrambling to find our players with the passing. We were doing it slightly better in the second half. Our passing was a lot crisper. Scholes looked to have more pace about him, or more space around him, should I say? But again, not many players were setting the world alight. There was no one who I'd look at and go, he's doing really, really well. He's really staking a claim for a place in this starting 11 at West Ham United. In the second half, Pablo had at least 3 chances where all he needed to do was not think about what he needed to do. So there was one play where he got the ball, he cut in, and then he hesitated. And when he hesitated, the chance was gone. Instead of just whacking it, there was another chance where he could have put his head to it, or there was a cross coming in where he could have put his head to it, or stuck his foot out. But again, he looked like he was hesitating. He looks like he's trying to position himself. Sometimes, an attacking player just needs to go for it. And he had about 2 or 3 chances where if he just didn't think about what to do and just did it, he might have got a goal, maybe a couple. Look, changes were made in the second half with 20 minutes to go. On the 72nd minute, we had Ajala come on, Earthy, Orford and Potts, that replaced Kante, Le Madrid, Ward-Prowse and Tati. Did I see anything in any of those 4 players to suggest that they could do something? Ajala's got pace about him, and he created a few problems for their right back, but not enough. Earthy was non-existent. Orford and Potts, it looked like the game was going. None of these players did anything to suggest to me that they would be decent players to come on and make a difference for West Ham United. All right, you could say, the tempo of the game, keeping up with the tempo of the game, etc., was difficult. But in my eye, I didn't see anything to suggest that they would make a massive difference. On the 84th minute, more changes were made. Marshall, Cornet, Golombekis, Myers, Casey all came on for Bowen, Mavropanos, Walker-Peters and Pablo. Again, nothing there that suggested to me that there was anything about these players. Maybe they need longer. Maybe, maybe people are right and suggest that they need a lot longer than just 5-10 minutes. And I get that and I understand that. But we need something different in this team. We absolutely do. If the game told us anything that we didn't already know, it was that we need a creative attacking midfielder. We need a pace out on the flanks, and we need a clinical striker. Look, there are players coming back. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been training but not selected for this game. Diouf is coming back from World Cup duty. There's Alvarez as well. We keep hearing that Alvarez doesn't want to be part of this, but who knows? Those 3 players will certainly give us something different. But we don't know if any of those three players. Oh, well, no, we do know about Juve because we've turned down an offer from Brentford. Let's see if they come back. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Alvarez, we keep hearing, are not going to be any part of this squad. Who knows? Let's see how that pans out. There was no sign of Fulkrug, no sign of Magassa. And I know people, there's been rumours that Fulkrug has been training alone, but he seemed to be training with the squad leading up to this game. Look, I wish I could say that there's something to really cheer about. There isn't. I wish I could say one of the youngsters really impressed me. They didn't. I wish I could say one of the senior players took the game by the scruff of the neck, but they hadn't. Hermansson, I think, won me over today. Still a long way to go, but he pulled off some really good saves. There was a second half save from a free kick round about centrally, which looked like it was going in the top corner. And Hermansson pulled off a really, really decent save. He pulled off a couple of decent saves. The chance that we had from James Ward-Prowse in the first half by in the free kick that we had almost went in, but their keeper pulled off a decent save as well. When I'm saying that the best player was Kyle Walker-Peters is because there was no one else that really impressed me. Kyle Walker-Peters did his job. He did it, comfortably. He did it well. He did what he had to do. But other than that, there wasn't anything to write home about in this game. And it's a shame. We need players. We absolutely do. Yes, maybe some of the players coming back from World Cup duty might make a difference, but we need to go out there and buy ourselves some players. And if anything, this is just confirmed for Nuno that, with the greatest of respect to them, and I know a lot of fans say that they don't get their chance, but with the greatest of respect to them, there's a lot of our academy players who just aren't ready for even the championship at this moment in time. I was surprised to see George Earthy come on because for me, he's been quite weak, even in the other games that he's played. I know he was off ill for the game against Stevenage, but what I saw in previous games, I didn't think George Earthy did enough to warrant having another chance. Freddie Potts was obviously going to come on, so it was good to see him. Lewis Orford did himself no harm in this game against Stevenage, so it was obvious that he'd be coming on as well. Ajala did okay against Stevenage, but again, there was nothing that suggested to me that we're going to see some of these academy players breaking through. But having said that, I've got to look at the senior players and say that no, they've done themselves no favours either. I can't say that there was any of the senior players that made me go, wow. Now, James Ward-Prowse the other day did against Stevenage and against Southend, and I talked about him and I said how good he was. And even the likes of Kante and other players who look reasonable in previous games, they just weren't at the races today. This was a tougher test. Of the games, of the preseason friendlies that we played so far, this was the tougher of all the tests. It was going to be a lot harder. You're going to have less space to afforded to you. And so this is where we expect to see players actually pulling out the stops and demonstrating what they can do. Look, Rangers, what are they? A mid-table Premier League team, if they were playing in English football, or a very, very good championship team? They're way ahead in their pre-season, but I didn't see much from them. But I don't care about Rangers, but it was a tougher test. And we stood up to it. We were on par. Is that the best I can offer? We were on par. But we didn't do anything that made me think that we were going to be a lot better. We do need an injection or something different in this team. We need a clinical striker. We need a creative midfielder, and we need pace on the flanks. Absolutely. Our defense was all right. Anything that they did against us, we were fine. But we need strength in depth. And when I look at our when I look at our defenders from the academy, have we got strength in depth? I don't know. Myers picked the ball up in one time when he came on and lost it almost straight away. And you can't afford to make those sorts of mistakes in the championship. We're going to be crucified if we do. So, but I like Myers. I think he's a decent player. So we need strength in depth. So we need to go and buy ourselves a central defender at the very least. We need a creative midfielder. We need someone that can create the tempo. Now, when I look at the players that we've got, the likes of James Ward-Prowse, Kante, La Madrid, etc., can any of them manage the pace of the game? Ward-Prowse can, but we know how slow he is. So are we going to rely on him all season to be that effective midfielder? Probably not. So probably we need two midfielders. We need someone, and maybe that's where Alvarez can come in. You know, if he does stay, you can see him offering something a little bit different. Yeah, he's hot-headed at times. But I'll tell you what, the Championship is gonna. One thing that I did enjoy is the fact that we don't have VAR, and the Rangers players were sort of putting their foot in at times. And VAR would have, there would have been a lot of calls in the Premier League with some of the challenges that were going in. But Alvarez has got the luxury of not having VAR, might get away with a little bit more than he would do if he was in the Premier League. So maybe he can make a difference. I'm sure Diouf can make a difference on the left. I'm sure Wan-Bissaka can make a difference on the right if they all stay. But it's not enough. We still need a creative player in midfield. We still need pace down the flanks, and we still need an outstanding striker to be able to put the chances away. Did we create enough chances today? Some, but we didn't have the players in the box to get in there and be on the end of them. Let's see what you guys had to say. PA and Jack, good afternoon to you, mates. Watch the game. Desperately need a couple of players that can change a game with something different. Good evening to you, Paul. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Kalispera to you, Keith. Dull game, but I'm still positive. This is the most negative I think I've been. And you know what I'm like? I'm normally trying to look for the positives. I didn't see a lot. Paul, we need to do business, get some players in. Gaza, Trodge, if you're in here, I wasn't talking to you during my little blow up on Ham's chat. Okay. Josh, good afternoon, mate. I'm frustrated. It's frustrating seeing how ineffective we are up front. Something that was an issue last season, but I don't think we were that bad given who we played. Need new players, though. Yeah, that's fair. Trodge, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. PA and Jack, Pablo is not doing any favors in convincing me he can up his game. Like I said, there were several moments in the second half where he instead of thinking about it, just put your laces through the ball, or just put your head on it or whatever. And he had a couple of chances where he thought too much about it. David, Nuno is our biggest threat to promotion. Man of the match was our away fans. Graham, well done with the watch along, but the game sounded pretty uninspiring. It really was. Malkstar, Pablo played like he was on acid. Trodge, Gaza, it's all right, mate. Didn't take anything from that. Gaza, I'm negative after watching Nuno do all the same things. But I've got to think about this. I've got to ask myself, did Nuno have the tools available to him to be any different in this game? I'm not sure that he did, to be quite honest with you. I want to see a replacement to Somerville. I want to see a player that can bang in 15 goals in a season. I want to see someone that controls the midfield. Maybe when he gets those players, not maybe, when he gets those players, then we see what Nuno's made of and how he's going to use those players. He hasn't got the tools available to him. PA and Jack, need a midfielder that can drive forward and a winger that will run at players. Absolutely. N5 Hammer, good afternoon to you. Le Madrid, Ward-Prowse, Hermansen impressed. Le Madrid tried, but he's not got enough about him just yet. Ward-Prowse was comfortable, but no great shakes. Hermansen, yeah, definitely impressed. Josh, needs someone creative in midfield. We need another striker, a left winger, and a backup to Bowen. We're facing exactly the same problems as we did last season. We've not got long before we get going. Foxes, how many games in the Championship before we score a JWP assist? Might be the first game, but it's not going to break the record, is he? Morel, good afternoon to you. Creativity and pace is a must. Need 4 or 5 players. I've worked out we need at least 4 players. We need a centre-back. We need a creative midfielder. We need a pacey winger. And we need a striker. At least 4. But I will go with you, probably more than that. Trodge and 5, Hammer. Hermansen only one played in correct. That's unfair, Trodge, to be quite honest with you. I think if you look at our midfield, it was pretty fluid. We do need, and I did suggest during the watch along that possibly the reason why Le Madrid is not out there is to see what Le Madrid can offer in the middle of the park. Because but I would like to see him out left. That's where he should be. But I don't think many other players were played out of position, to be honest, mate. Jamie reminded me of Possible. I thought Le Madrid put himself about. He did, but he's just not got it at the moment. Jonathan, Kante nowhere near at the level, which was disappointing. I really wanted to see Kante today to see what he could do against the kind of opposition that we were playing against. He didn't do it. He didn't do it, I'm afraid. Ray, Nuno is a one-trick pony. You've all got it in for Nuno at the moment. Gaza, yeah, Trudge, but you're consistent. Some of the people who were so enamored last week are the ones trying this week. It gets old. I think you're talking about what people thought about the game. Anthos, thanks, Stel. Thought it was evident. We need creativity. Absolutely, Josh. We kind of look stuck in the mud at times. Whenever we're on the ball, nobody moves. That was the one thing that was happening when I was doing the watch along. Take that off for a second. We found the defenders, for example, picking the ball up from Hermans and then going like that, as if to say, "Move for me. Give me something so I can pass it to you." So yeah, nobody's moving for the ball. When someone does overlap, we don't look to make the pass. Kante looks shaky. Pablo takes too many touches. Agree. Epic, good afternoon to you. Stel, we're not going to win promotion. Well, let's not with this squad, but as I keep saying, the transfer window is open until the 1st of September. But I agree, Epic will get in the playoffs, but winning promotion, one of the first top two with this squad, I agree. But we've got a long way to go. Troj Gaza, thank you, mate. I vent a lot, though. You're right to do so. You know, I welcome all comments on here. N5. Pablo Dreadful, don't know how he gets a game and stays on for nearly all of it. Is Null FNC? Good afternoon to you. It's interesting that most of the issues you lads are seeing mirrors ours. As a Rangers supporter, welcome, mate. Much appreciated you coming on. It's interesting that most of the issues you lads see are seeing mirrors ours. As a Rangers supporter, structurally solid but lack of creativity and incisiveness in the final third. I thought you were going to come at us today. I really did. I was expecting, to be honest with you, mate. I was expecting a lot more from you. You know, it was a good run out, but you guys are starting your league next week. I expected more, to be honest with you. I don't know if you've got anything else in your locker, mate, but I thought that you were really going to, sort of really go at us, and I didn't see that happening. Iron Disciple, we need signings, absolutely. Robin, what level is Pablo? He ain't championship or first division in my eyes. Trudge, my big problem is repeating the same things from a relegation season. We do need players. We need players. And I don't think we've got the right players at this moment in time. Clearly, we've lost something in the sale of Fernandes and Somerville. Fernandes and Somerville will make a massive difference to this team. You can't deny that. You know, they would be an enormously, and we might have won this game at a canter with those two players. So it's evident that we need to replace those two players without a shadow of a doubt. Trudge, the big question was, will Nuno attack championship teams with tiny budgets? I think the answer is no. I don't know is the honest answer to that, Trudge. Let's see what happens when the season starts, and let's see what kind of squad we have to see if he can attack those smaller teams. Josh, I think Rangers were a good test for us so close to the season. They really got stuck into us in the first half. I hope Silva can get in Nuno's ear and make Nuno see what he can't or what he's ignoring. Ricky, good afternoon to you. I'm still worried Nuno will still play not to lose rather than must try to win, with set pieces key to us winning games. I didn't see the game that way. Yes, when they had the ball with their defenders very, very deep, we were sitting back. You know, we weren't going at them the same way as we did against Stevenage the other day, where when they had the ball, you know, we were sort of closing them down. We weren't doing that, but were we playing not to lose? I don't really know, is the honest answer. I just think we lack. We lack creativity and we lack pace. And I think if we had the creativity and the pace in this team, I think we might have seen a very different game. Iron, I really hope Kretinsky is an alternate manager at standby on the speed dial, because if Nuno parks the bus versus Rangers in a friendly, he's doing this in the championship, no questions. I did the watch along, and I know some of you were on it, and I wasn't watching a park in the bus game. I just think we just lack creativity. We lack pace. But I don't think we were sitting back waiting for them to attack us. Epic. Sack Nuno, bring Paco back. Trudge. Maybe it's me. You know, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will, but I didn't see that. if we get the bulk of possession, we will do nothing with it and also be prone to getting caught on the break with a slow team. This is why I think this is not the finished article. This is why I think with different players, with new players coming in, we'll see a different West Ham. But, shoot me down if you think I'm wrong. Phil, I was looking forward to this season, but after that dire performance, I'm not so sure. Urgently need a left winger and 2 front men. Andrew, from a Rangers fan, I wish you all a safe journey home, lads. I've no doubt you'll go straight back up. Your fans are superb. Had a few beers with you. Massive credit to the 3,000 loyal fans. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on, mate. Really appreciated. Isnal FNC, correct, Andrew. Good amount of Union flags too. Gaza, we need bloody players now or sack Nuno. But is it Nuno's fault that we haven't got the players in yet? We've got Niels Koppen. We've got a whole new recruitment team. What's going on there? Ricky, if teams play 9 men behind the ball, we will struggle under Nuno. We could be draw specialists this season, I fear. Randy, still, right now, we are going to need signings. Hopefully they arrive sooner rather than later. Defensively, we might have looked okay, but attack, creativity and pace is what we need if we're to get promoted. And I do not disagree with that. And that's why I'm saying, I'm not so sure this was Nuno tactics. It's just that we don't have the players available in this squad to make that difference in attack. Andrew, absolutely love the Union flags, proper British fan base. Malkstar, we need a spine. Gaza, we need players now or sack Nuno. We need at least why sack Nuno? Is it Nuno's fault that we've not got players in yet? We don't know what's going on. This is the beauty of not having all these rumours being coming out from the club, because we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Andrew, I think you don't need to look too much into it. You'll be a strip fitter for next week's friendly. Good point. Isnal FNC, both struggling for wingers. Anyway, leave you to it. Interesting to see your perspective. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. And I appreciate your perspective as well. Dan, the way we're set up right now is going to be a struggle to watch all season. Teams so unbalanced. This is why I think we need more players to come through the front door. Absolutely. Ricky, I think only one more preseason friendly isn't enough with players coming back from the World Cup. Yeah, we've got the game in Germany next weekend. Andrew, just adore your fans, lads. Swap numbers with a couple. Invited down already. Look forward to having you down here, Andrew. Randy, Nuno tactics is going to be different I need someone to make me not think what I'm thinking. I need someone to tell me that I'm not seeing it the way. Look, no disrespect. You're seeing it the way you're seeing it, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting for a minute, but there's a lot of people in the chat that are talking about Nuno's tactics and not talking about. And there's a few people that have mentioned that we obviously need players in, but what would Nuno do with different players in this squad? It seems to me that you're suggesting that even if we had the likes of Somerville, the likes of Mads, the likes of Fernandes, etc., that we'd still be playing the way we did. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that the suggestion that you guys are making? Randy, with Nuno's tactics going to be different, is going to have to be different once the season starts. If we do start seeing this season being different to last season, Nuno will be under pressure if we do not get promoted. So you're saying it's Nuno's tactics and not the players. I'm saying we don't have the players, but what you guys are suggesting is it's Nuno's tactics. Is that correct? Malkstar, Mavs had a banging long-range shot. He sure did, and it went a mile off. Trapper John, since Declan left, the midfield has been the problem. No legs, no creativity, absolutely dire. Ryan, I would rather have Moyes back than have Nuno as our manager. Josh, we just played Rangers. I think this is getting blown out of proportion just a tad. We need signings massively. Nuno needs to sort it out, but the season hasn't even begun. We need some calm. Andrew, honestly, West Ham, you'll be a lot more fitter next week. That was a good run out, Andrew, without a shadow of a doubt. Adam, we've absolutely had our pants pulled down for Pablo. How much did we pay for him? 20 mil, 25 mil, whatever it was. He offers nothing but effort. I agree. Phil, we've got Alvarez possibly coming back. Absolutely. Flash movie trivia. Pablo's finishing instincts is just not there. Huge. Where was Magassa? Magassa has apparently got an injury, and it seems to be a lot of work because he's not been training and he's not been selected for any games. So he's out injured at the moment. Andrew, my only concern was I thought more of Pablo. I think we all did. Well, some of us did. George, Josh, thank God somebody's talking sense at last. Talk about an overreaction. Dan, he is injured. Andrew, the sales might have been positive for the transfer window, but the signings must come in now if we have a chance of promotion. The work must start now. Hopefully, the recruitment team see this now. ISNU Null FNC. Also good to see we're not the only ones that go mental over preseason, as it should be. Everyone does. Everyone does. Andrew, honestly, some fans are overreacting here. This is Rangers, not QPR. Thank you for that, because I was getting really, really worried because this was a good test. What I saw, and shoot me down, absolutely, but what I saw wasn't a West Ham team sitting back. I saw it's a decent Rangers team. The Rangers are a good team. They're not going to just sit back and allow us to beat them just like that. But what I saw was that we lacked something in this squad. We lack creativity and we lack pace. But I didn't see us sitting back. But maybe it's me. Adam, back four and goalkeeper were all decent. James Ward-Prowse too. Then struggling for positives. Josh, I was worried about the Southend performance, but this is pre-season. I'm just as concerned as everyone else about the lack of change from last season, but I think it's just a bit much right now. Randy, huge. He was injured, although apparently was supposed to be back in training. Part of me thinks, I wonder if he's part of the players we're selling. Well, he's not been seen in training, so I think probably the injury is probably worse than we realise. Trudge, I saw the same things from the first half of last season. Trudge, same tactics, same ideas. Andrew, we kick off our season in 5 days, so we're a fitter team. You'll be back up, trust me. Thank you for that positivity, mate. Chuck Lober, good afternoon to you. We need a good number 10. We need speed on the wings and only one striker in the lineup. Yeah, I'm seeing the same things as you are. Flash, Spain struggled in their first game against Cape Verde. Thank you for that. And look where they went. Ekim, good afternoon to you. It's conditioning game, just pre-season. Let's see who we bring in. That's what I'm thinking, mate. It's about match fitness. Yes, of course. The fluidity of the game, that what we do in the game is absolutely important because it gives us a taster for what the season will be like. But it's clear, it's evident that we do not have the squad at this moment in time to go out there and smash teams. And there's no way we're going to. We smashed Stevenage the other day. Is that Stevenage only just lost out on being promoted to the Championship? Is that what about that game? Was that a good gauge? We were good, decent and attacking, a good flowing attack there. We smashed 5 past them. So which is which? Rangers are a much better team than Stevenage are. A much better team, a much tougher test. We will get these sorts of tests in the Championship. We didn't have the creativity. We didn't have the pace. But the tactics. Your manager can only do what he can do with the players he's got available to him. So were the tactics wrong? I don't know what else he could have done, to be really, really honest with you. George, agreed. We need signings now. We all know that, by Christ, there's some way. We need signings. We all know that, by Christ, the way some of this lot are going, you'd have thought we'd have just lost our first league game. It's pathetic. Trudge, I want to see us line up and stretch teams with width, not making games narrow and packing the midfield. We were trying, but the balls weren't getting to the players. I remember talking during the watch along in the first half, talking about how the ball was just not getting. We were trying to get the ball wide. There was Kilman trying to knock it diagonally to Bowen, and there was Dinos trying to knock it diagonally to Skulls, but it wasn't happening. The balls weren't getting. The balls were bad. Ironically, I laughed in the second half when Kilman passed the ball diagonally to Carl Walker-Peters with his right foot, which got there. Ironically, so we were trying to get the ball out wide, but it just wasn't panning out. Yuha, in all matches, I've never seen Pablo shoot. He just passes the ball to someone else or passes it towards goal. Trudge, defensive narrow strategy. Maybe some of you are happy with that. Not saying I'm happy, but I'm not saying that was the game. I'm not saying that that was it. I think there was more to it than that. I think we're lacking. We're absolutely lacking in the squad. Definitely. Andrew, take care, lads. Safe journey home to all you loyal fans. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. Trudge, 0 shots on target in the first 45 minutes of open play. Yeah, there were 0 shots on target. But then you've got to get the ball to the players to try and have a shot on target. In the second half, we were better. We could have had a lot more chances, but not as many shots. Still not that many shots on target. Josh, we're all entitled to our own opinions. I have our own expectations of the team. But whilst it's a little worrying, we need to wait and see where we're at when this season kicks off. I want to see what squad we've got. Look, the squad's not going to be much different when the season kicks off, but I want to see what squad we've got when the transfer window shuts. That's the important part. Brian, I thought we played okay, but have weaknesses that must be addressed as soon as possible. Trudge, I want to see shots at goals and crosses and things. We all do. Absolutely. David, under par manager, under par players, but we are going to win promotion without investment. Bowen doesn't look like he's made a good decision. Bowen had a quiet game. Phil, with no chance of promotion with that team, which is why the transfer window, thank God, is still open. Agreed, Drudge. I hate the cutting back and lack of overlapping. We have some height. Well, it didn't work. With James Ward-Prowse out on the left-hand side, we were never going to get an overlap there. Kyle Walker-Peters, we know he's good defensively, but not as great on the overlap on the right-hand side. That I agree with. I don't disagree with that at all. But I think we've got a player lined up for our left wing. I'm pretty certain of it, which is why he's not playing Le Madrid. He wants to see what Le Madrid is doing in the middle of the park. I think we've got a player lined up and then we see what happens then. Victor, I'm not bothered about friendly. No team has ever won a league or been relegated based on pre-season. It's about fitness. Thank you for that. We had one shot that bounced before the goalkeeper saved it as it was so weak, and Mav from 40 yards, second half. Kansas, we need to get rid of Pablo. He's just not going to score. He can't afford this. We can't afford that this season. Costa Hammer, good afternoon to you. Good evening to you. Preseason isn't just about fitness. It's about seeing a clear style of play, cohesion and intent. I didn't see enough of that today. We look slow, predictable and bad lack pace. I don't disagree with that. That is absolutely valid. But then I will counter that with, we know this isn't the squad that's going to be the mainstay of this season. Graham, enthusiasm is beginning to wane. Yes, we have done well on the financial side, but we badly need creativity and pace. We cannot afford to be playing catch up. We need the season starts when the season starts. So get the players in. That I agree with. Anthos, thanks, Del. Unfortunately, we saw enough of Nuno last year. I'm sure there are managers out there that would get the best out of these players. Possibly. But again, I will say, I didn't see a game where we sat back. I didn't see that. I didn't see a game where we sat back. I saw a game where we didn't have enough pace and we didn't have enough creativity. That I agree with. But did I see a game where we sat back? I'm not sure. David, who was our last manager who tried to win every game we played in? Yeah. Josh, I think we face the same problem since Moyes. We just do not know how to get forward with speed, precision, or correct decision making. Who else have we got here? Glenn, good afternoon to you. You hate the flags. Graham, to Trudge, you certainly did. What did Trudge say? David, he loved to gamble. Who loved to gamble? I don't know. You chat amongst yourself. Westy Ham. Don't think we've got good enough players, not all, but plus not a good enough manager. Stephen, it seems we've got a real downer on Nuno. It seems he's not going to be flavour of the month if we lose a game or two. Or flavour of the season, I should say. Stephen, we all know the signings won't happen till last minute. It's West Ham. That is the concern. You know, I'm hoping this week is going to be the week we start seeing players coming through the front door. Randy, hopefully, still, if we do get the players needed, they it will be completely different. Hope the transfer business now picks up. At the moment, it's not clicking. Just hope we can address the issues. I agree with that. Let's judge what happens when we've got a different squad in this team at West Ham. Brian, I would go and get two wingers and play Bowen up front with Tati. I wouldn't disagree with that, Brian, to be honest with you. I think Bowen, he's lost something, hasn't he? He's still got it. He can do it on the left, but play him up front with Tati and put two fast wingers on. Yeah, I agree. Richard, pace and creativity, that's exactly what we need. We're a fair bit short of what's required to gain automatic promotion. We need some decent incomings very quickly, crying out for some creativity. Agreed. Isnol FNC, We flooded the midfield of the park of the ball to force you to push out wide, to push it wide. Like us, you don't have wingers and a player that unlocks defenses in the final third. Same problem for both of us. Stephen, our youth will save the club millions. Don't think they will. Paul, bring on the championship. Trudge, Millwall would be licking their lips after watching that. Kansas, Trudge, Millwall just lost to Stevenage and Gillingham. There you go. Stevenage, who we put 5 past. Malkstar, Pablo has a GTA haircut with Frank Spencer football ability. Trudge, and Wrexham beat Leeds and Man United. Victor, I would play Bowen as a 10. He has lost some pace out wide. I would put Bowen in the middle, to be quite honest with you. Listen, people, that's been quite interesting. Thank you for that. It seems that, look, this is where I stand, in all honesty. Did I see Nuno playing 10 at the back, trying to nullify an attacking Rangers team? No, I didn't. And I did the watch along. So I don't know. Did I see a team that's lacking somewhat in West Ham United? Absolutely, yes, I did. And did I see a lack of pace? Yes. Did I see a lack of creativity? Yes. When I look at some of the players that were on the pitch, I think Kante let himself down. I think La Madrid is an interesting project, but we don't need projects. We need players who can really turn it on in the championship. I don't think we've got, I think, if you want to criticize Bowen. I don't think Bowen did enough today. I think up front, Tati needs somebody else. And the suggestion to put someone like Bowen up front with Tati is not a bad suggestion, or use him as a number 10, to be quite honest with you. I think that's quite sensible. And then bring 2 pacey wingers in. You get 2 pacey wingers in the championship and they can win you games. There's not enough creativity. I totally get that. But am I criticising Nuno for the tactics for today's game? No, I'm not. Why? Because this is not the finished article. This is not the finished squad as yet. I think we've got a long, long way to go. And let's not forget, I keep saying it. Yeah, the season starts soon. The season certainly starts before the transfer window shuts. But it's when the transfer window shuts. If when the transfer window shuts, we do not get a creative midfielder, 1 or 2 pacey wingers, and a clinical striker, then I'm going to be with you lot. I'm going to be worried. But tactics-wise, you can only do what you've got available to you. Nuno, in fairness to him, has used the senior squad. He's trying to bed them in because at this moment in time, that's all he's got, apart from the likes of Wan-Bissaka coming back. Füllkrug, I don't think Füllkrug is gone, to be honest with you. But prove me wrong and see if he'll start any games or if he'll be part of any games. I don't think he will be. Alvarez, I don't know, is the honest answer. We know that Todibo's going to go. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we don't know if he's going to stay. Juve, we've said he's not going anywhere. So once the 1st of September is done and dusted and that transfer window is shut, I will then look at the squad and say to you what I honestly think. Will I think that we can do it, we can't do it, etc., etc.? At this moment in time, I can't say that. And at this moment in time, I honestly cannot say with hand on heart that Nuno's tactics are rubbish, because he's only got what's available to him. He's given everyone a chance. He's given the youngsters a chance. He's saying to them, prove to me that I don't need to go into the transfer window to buy a striker, to buy a winger, to buy a defender, to buy a midfielder, etc., etc. At this moment in time, some of them are showing flashes of decent play, but not enough for Nuno to turn around and go, Nuno is now thinking he already knows what we need. He knows we need another central defender in order to back up what we've already got. He knows we need a good, decent midfielder that can dictate the pace of the game. He knows we need a creative midfielder that can create chances. And he knows we need good, decent wingers. So once we get those, then we can start seeing what Nuno's made of. And if he's got all that available to him, and Nuno is still playing what you think are going to be, tactics just to get draws, etc., and not win games, then I'll be with you. I'll be with you in agreeing what you think. I can't see that at this moment in time because we haven't got the finished article in terms of our squad. We've got a long, long way to go. A long, long way to go. And let's see what happens thereafter. Right, let's finish off with a couple of more comments. Cheers, Stephen. Much appreciated. Josh, chin up, lads. We've got time for new signings and the season is yet to start. Let's not give up on the team just yet. Stuff to improve, but we've got a long road ahead of us. West Ham, if we had Pep as manager, he would probably keep about 2 out of that lot. That's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. Randy, still after this game, what would be the minimum amount of signings we need to try and get the squad in a better place and hopefully be prepared for this season, and what positions? I've said, I think we need a central defender without a shadow of a doubt. I think we need a midfielder that can dictate the pace of the game. I think we need a creative attacking midfielder as well. I think possibly we need 1 or definitely 2 wingers and a striker as well. Maltstar, did Bone even win the coin toss? Simcuts, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Mark, evening Stel, evening to you, mate. Trudge, so where do we find another Eyal Berkovic on the cheap? Well, let's not forget, we're not competing with Premier League teams for players. We're competing with other Championship teams for players, which means that players come cheaper. Simple as that. Players come cheaper. The trick is to get a player in the Championship that's going to be good enough to take a step up if we get promoted. So we're not competing with with the Premier League teams to go out and buy players. We do not have to go out and buy a £30 million player. Do not have to. We won't go out and buy a £30 million player. We're going to be looking, whether we like it or not, as a Championship team, we're going to be looking for players that are going to cost us 10, 15, 20 million. Let's not forget the show I did some time ago about Niels Koppen. Niels Koppen doesn't go out and find himself 30, 40 million pound players. Niels Koppen goes and buys players from the Belgian leagues, the Scandinavian leagues, etc. He'll go and find a player for 10 million that no one's heard of. And he could possibly be the difference to this team. So we can forget we will be finding players on the cheap because Niels Koppen is here. He's now got to put his money where his mouth is in order to demonstrate how good a head of recruitment, player recruitment he is, because he's the one that we're now relying on, and we will be relying on Nuno and his agent mate Mendes as well. But we're not going to go out and buy expensive players. There's no way on earth West Ham United are in that market for 25, 30, 40 million pound players. We're going to be looking at the 10, 15, 20, 25 at most. If we spend 25 million pound on one player this summer, I'd be very, very surprised. Mark, we could dig Pyatt up. He owes us. Mark, at least 2 on by Friday or it's curtains. Trudge, Pyatt made everyone else better when he played. Phil, Joe Linton, he has to leave as soon as possible. Who's Joe Linton? Mark, in, and Mark again. Pyatt was a big disappointment, but at least he didn't go to Spurs. I'm going to finish off on that. People, it's been lively. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I do really appreciate all the comments, no matter what they are. You don't have to agree with me. I don't expect you to agree with me. I'd be disappointed if you did agree with me. There'd be something wrong there. Look, if you're new to this channel, if the first time you're watching the West Ham Boys, should have put this up ages ago and I forgot to do it, then click on that QR code. Takes you to the subscription page. Subscription is free of charge. Become a subscriber of the channel. Listen, it's been lively and I do appreciate it. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for your input. And let's move on. We've got one more preseason friendly. I won't be going to Germany. Should have been going to that as well. I've got a ticket for it, but I won't. So I'll probably do a watch along for that as well. And I've no doubt I'll be back this week to talk about the players that we're about to sign. Fingers crossed, hey? Thank you all for watching. Keep the faith, people. And I will see you all very soon.